going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman, and we got a loaded show for you guys today. As Kay Adams, she is super high on the Minnesota Vikings and actually predicting the Vikes will win the Super Bowl. So we'll share with you guys what she had to say. And also Chris Sims on the Minnesota Vikings heading into the 2025 NFL season. But then also KOC had some cool quotes talking about the international games. She'll get you guys all that information on today's show. But first off, I will give credit to the Vikings social media team. They did an awesome job with their schedule release video. They had a bunch of Vikings fans getting tattoos of different opponents they were playing. I thought it was a great idea. People had mixed feelings about it, but also that same tattoo parlor is giving away 50 free tattoos today. So if you guys are in the Minneapolis area, go take advantage of that. I thought it was a great job by the Vikings social media team, but it made me want to ask you guys this question. Would you ever get a Vikings tattoo? Now, if it's like, oh yeah, if they win the Super Bowl, I'll get a tattoo, please explain your thoughts down below in the comment section. But if you guys would ever get a Vikings tattoo, give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below. Now, some news around the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson were at the Minnesota Timberwolves game, Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals. They were sitting courtside. I thought it was awesome seeing them bond. Everybody's freaking out on Twitter. So this is the photo of them sitting courtside, already building that J.J. to J.J. connection. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, Jefferson. Anytime I see a photo of him in public, he is by far the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. Like, just a guy who is confident. He's got the aura around him, just a swagger. Shout out to Jets, man. He was looking great at the Timberwolves game yesterday. But let's dive into the real news on today's show. It was actually Kay Adams. She was chopping it up with Chris Sims, and Chris Sims was giving a take on the Minnesota Vikings, and Kay Adams straight up cut him off. Said, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Not they're going to win the division, not they're going to make the Super Bowl, but they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I do want to give credit to Kay Adams. She is the only NFL analyst that I have seen predict the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. So it's Kay Adams over everybody. No more Diana Rossini, no more Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, these guys that would just bash on the Minnesota Vikings. She gave a great take and great reasoning on it as well. But maybe it was just because she did that sit-down interview with J.J. McCarthy, felt his aura, felt his swagger, and just those winning intangibles in this interview. But it was awesome seeing finally somebody give the Vikings the respect they deserve. But this is what Kay Adams had to say following that, saying, when you're not bringing in Aaron Rodgers, who will likely take this team a farther way than it's built because there are no holes in it. Brilliantly built and has all the talent in the prime of the biggest superstar in the NFL, Justin Jefferson. If you don't go out and get Aaron, then you better win it with JJ. Now, I think the biggest reason for us Vikings fans to believe in J.J. McCarthy is the fact that Kevin O'Connell, he decided to have J.J. McCarthy be his QB1 next season over a guy like Aaron Rodgers, coming off a torn meniscus, has never played a regular season game in the NFL. The fact that KOC wanted that guy over the former four-time MVP, Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, I think just that reason alone is everything we need to have as Vikings fans as a reason to believe that J.J. McCarthy is the guy, not just for the future, but for this year specifically, because this Vikings team and this front office, they believe the Super Bowl window starts now. But this was also what Kay Adams had to say, speaking about the roster, saying the roster's ready to go. They got a rebuilt O-line, aggressive playmaking defense. Sam takes you to 14. Is J.J. an upgrade on Sam Darnold? Yes. We're talking about big games. They clearly think J.J., without playing a snap in the NFL, is going to take them to where they need to go. And I'll tell you what, it's about time somebody said J.J. McCarthy's an upgrade over Sam Darnold. Because, if you go listen to Cowherd, he just says, man, how do you let a 14-win quarterback through for 35 touchdowns walk out the door? I think the biggest reason why Darnold had that year, it was because of Kevin O'Connell. It was because of the support system. And I think if you just look at J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold on paper, who is the better just prospect, just a player, if everything is equal, I think it's J.J. McCarthy by far. And it wouldn't shock me if we look up at the end of this next season where it's like, oh yeah, Sam Darnold regressed a little bit and J.J. McCarthy had one of the best, first-year starting seasons in the NFL. But Kay Adams and Chris Sims are actually going back and forth in this interview, and this is a pretty cool moment from Chris Sims here, saying, there's nobody I'm terribly worried about, talking about the Vikings roster. I guess J.J. McCarthy is the one where you go, wait, They went 14-3 last year. They had Sam Darnold last year. McCarthy hasn't played football in a year. It's a team that I think flirted with Aaron Rodgers a little bit because they looked at it and went, wait, we're a Super Bowl team, like right now. Chris Sims, I 100% agree with you. Like, Vikings fans, I understand it's the first year J.J. McCarthy starting, and we're going to have grace with him. He's going to go through those learning curves, and we all got to be patient. But the Super Bowl window starts now. The Vikings spending all this money in free agency, backloading a lot of these contracts. Where you look at the cap space for next season, the Vikings are dead last. Like, they view this roster, as it stands right now, as a roster that is good enough to go win a Super Bowl. And it's going to come down to J.J. McCarthy. I think he has some of the most pressure on him out of any coach, any player in the league. And I think that's almost a beautiful thing because hopefully J.J. McCarthy thrives under that pressure. He rises to the moment. And also, I know some Vikings fans are, a little concerned about having 7 standalone games this upcoming season. I think that's where J.J. McCarthy thrives. When the lights are the brightest, when the stage is the biggest, that's where we've seen J.J. McCarthy, at least in college at Michigan, play some of his best football, like at Ohio State. In the college football semifinal versus Alabama, down 7 with 4 minutes to go, had a game-winning touchdown drive. He has had these key moments throughout his career where, again, like I said, when the stage is the biggest, he plays some of his best football. But do you guys agree with Kay Adams here? Are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders? I think they 100% are. I think if you look at this roster top to bottom, I think they have probably top 3 in the in the NFC in terms of just full 53-man rosters. So do you guys agree with Kay Adams? Are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders? Y for yes or N for no? Now, we are going to be diving into what Kevin O'Connell had to say about the Vikings roster here in a second. But first off, I want to show you guys just a strength of schedule at NFL posted. The Vikings actually come in the top 10 in this list. Now, I will say this is a little, I don't want to say fake, but if you guys notice, the top 8 teams, 4 from the NFC North, 4 from the NFC East, and then the next 2 are from the AFC North. I think a lot of this just has to do with, divisional records from last year. And plus the NFC East, NFC North, AFC North, they all play each other this year. So I don't like looking too much into this because, last year, for example, the Bears before the season had one of the easiest strengths of schedules, but then after the year, they actually had the hardest. So everything can change in any given NFL year. But we'll talk about what KOC had to say about the schedule here in a second. But if you guys want to get a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, head to chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. I'll have that link for you guys in the comments section and description of today's show. But I can't wait to see U.S. Bank Stadium flooded with number 9 jerseys. So if you guys want to get one, hit that link in the comment section and the description of today's show, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. All right, so Kevin O'Connell was asked about the international games, and I thought he gave a great insight and a positive insight on how us Vikings fans should view this, saying the 2-game trip gives us an unbelievable opportunity to take our team on the road, get away from a lot of the day-to-day things that may be pulling players in other directions. It feels almost like a training camp. It feels almost like a trip to allow us to come together closer than ever, build our team camaraderie and culture even stronger, which has been such a strong asset to us over the 3 years here. And, I agree with Kevin O'Connell. Like, you think about when the team, whether that's, you got back-to-back home games. Like, they got their family there. They have, obviously, go-to spots where they want to go hang out with friends. And there's a lot of distractions that just naturally happen. But when you are overseas, it's a business trip. It's just about those 53 guys that you are taking on that plane, going to Dublin, then going to London, and you're just trying to win 2 football games. That's the only thing that matters when you're over there. So I think this stretch can bring the team together. Maybe like Kevin O'Connell said, it will bring some chemistry amongst this group. It will have the camaraderie increase. So I think this is a good thing. And plus, you have two de facto home games that should have been AFC North road games, which I think is a huge advantage. But KOC also talked about the football side of it, saying from a football side of it, both opponents that we will play both have very high-quality home atmosphere in their home stadiums here in the United States. So to get to play them not at their home stadium, tough division. The AFC North tends to be a year in and year out. We found that to be a potential bonus for our football team, as well as getting the opportunity to have a trip together where we can continue to build our team, our camaraderie. And I totally agree. And if you were just looking at the AFC North matchups here, huge advantage. You get the 2 best teams in the division at home in U.S. Bank Stadium. Probably be the 3-point spread in favor of the Ravens, probably be a pick 'em against the Bengals, but having a neutral site game against the Steelers where the Vikings are actually 2.5-point favorites. If that game's in Pittsburgh, Steelers are probably favored by 3. And the same thing with the Browns. Vikings are 7-point favorites already, according to Vegas. But if that game's in Cleveland, maybe the Vikings are only a field goal favorite. So I do think it is a huge advantage for this team to go overseas, not just for the on the football field reasons, but also just to get this team closer, which is obviously huge for Kevin O'Connell and this culture. But if you just look kind of at the first 5 games here, I think the Vikings, it's almost a need to start fast this season. And I'm not calling week 1 a must-win game. If the Vikings go out there, week 1s are weird in the NFL. All these players believe, and then you really get to the second half of the year where, some players can just start naturally checking out. But everybody on that Bears team, they'll be locked in. So even if they drop that game, not the worst case in the world, but if you do drop that game, I'm almost saying the Vikings need to at least win 3 of the next 4, especially being at home twice, and then you got 2 games overseas. The Vikings should go 3-1 in that stretch. So I'll ask you guys this: predict the Vikings record for the first 5 games. I think they need to start fast. I think almost 2-3 would be a disaster, but you guys let me know. Predict the Vikings record for the first 5 games down below. I got the Vikes going 4-1 in this stretch. I think they'll handle business against the Bears and the Falcons, drop a game to the Bengals at home, and then they should go 2-0 across the pond against the Steelers and the Browns. So I got them going 4-0. But again, you guys disagree with me, or you guys got more thoughts, let me know down below. And also, friendly reminder, hit that subscribe button. Stay up to date on everything on your Minnesota Vikings. See y'all next time. As always, Skol Vikes.